Well, you know what I got to say about this?
Thank God it's Friday.
That's one of them. That's part of it. That's a good part of it. Good morning.
Good morning.
And TGIFF.
I agree. I dare you to say it.
Thank God it's finally Friday.
Oh,
Your mind is dirty.
It
you know
is.
that?
it is.
The longer I know you, the more I understand.
Somehow that went
your
over my
mind
head. You appreciate me, Rachel, and you love it.
No, I suspect you, so I know exactly how it works.
You know what I was thinking.
I know exactly where to go.
It's been a rough week for me.
Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Kelly Knapp. I'm Lee Barrows.
And it is a Friday. It is finally Friday. And, got the weekend right upon us. Some people think that today is the beginning of the weekend. And by noon today, you will guarantee you'll find out. And if you really want to know during the summertime when the weekend begins, go take a ride up I-40 out of Wilmington. Going up I-40 about 20, 30 miles and get on an overpass like we used to do on Fridays and watch the cars with the boats coming down from Raleigh. It's a line of people, and
this weekend.
They take off a big bunch of the weekend, big bunch of the whole weekend that started on Friday. So anyway,
yes.
Okay, I got to do a little history for you. I promised you yesterday, right?
Yes.
It's the 9th of May. How am I doing so far?
It is.
A date that saw a lot of activity during the first 6 months of U.S. involvement in the Second World War back in 1942. German submarine U-573 entered the port of Cartagena, Spain for repairs after being severely damaged on April 29th by depth charges from RAF Lockheed Hudson's. The Spanish authorities granted the U-573 a 3-month period for repairs, and the British were ticked off with the Spanish. Why would you allow a Russian submarine to come into your port and you're friends with the British? And the British are the ones that depth charged it. Okay, on this date also in 1942, a Japanese seaplane carrier sank off of Omazaki the day after being torpedoed by the submarine USS Drum. That happened on this date in 1942. Try not to be funny. The Polish submarine Jastrob was sunk in the Barents Sea by friendly fire. Yes, I said Polish submarine. The American patrol yacht USS Synthera was torpedoed and sunk off the coast of North Carolina by the German submarine U-402. That one I did not know about. Also on this date in 1942, Shutout won the Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby? Derby. Lurking in the waters off Cape Lookout on this date in 1942 was the German submarine U-352. On its second mission of the war, the first ending in utter disaster for it. After spending several months in an occupied French port for repairs, the rookie boat captain was looking for anything that he could sink. His orders were to, in the words of one of the boat's crew members that I talked to, interfere with shipping along the North Carolina coast. Having encountered nothing for days on end, the sub heard the unmistakable sound of a ship's propeller overhead. Coming up to periscope depth, the captain saw what he thought was a commercial ship heading away from its position. He took a reading, marking the distance of the commercial ship and the direction of the ship, and ordered 2 torpedoes to be set for that distance and sent those torpedoes speeding across the open sea to the unsuspecting ship. The sub, still submerged, waited and waited. They heard explosions. The periscope went back up. The captain, a bit startled, saw his target steaming directly towards him at full speed. The sub dived. It headed towards the bottom. Unfortunately, the bottom was only a bit over 110 feet deep, couldn't get very far away. As a surviving crew member of U-352 in 2004, Heinz Richter told me that the ship was actually the Coast Guard cutter Icarus, home-ported in Charleston, South Carolina. She had just been fitted with the latest anti-submarine armament and began dropping depth charges. U-352 was rocking and rolling, with one charge causing damage to the ballast tanks. That sent the boat towards the surface. No fight left in her. Seaman Richter said the crew had been given flotation devices and they were ordered to abandon ship. The first gung-ho crewman, Mr. Richter told me, they got through the hatch was dumb. Richter's words, made his way to the boat's deck gun and preparing to fire on the cutter that was approaching them. His life ended quickly when the Icarus gunners fired at him with what was likely a .50 caliber machine gun. The surviving crewmen jumped into the water, their boat sank, and they floated around for hours until the Icarus was finally given permission to pick them up. Some history. In 2004, I had the chance to interview Seaman Richter, then in his 80s. He spent the remainder of the war in POW camps across the United States. At war's end, the Germans were sent to England. He said it was to be denazified. They didn't go home. They were sent to England first. After a year, they were told they could pick 3 locations of their choosing to relocate if they did not want to go back to their homeland. He wanted the United States first, Australia second, and Canada third. He was allowed finally to move to Canada, where he went to college, got an engineering degree. He was only 17 when that boat went down, by the way, and spent the rest of his life in Canada. He did visit the Morehead City area several times after being invited at first in 1992 to join fellow 352 survivors and the survivors of the Icarus to lay a wreath at the site of the sub's remains on the 50th anniversary of its sinking. About the explosions the crew heard after sending their torpedoes towards what turned out to be a Coast Guard cutter, seems the captain, this rookie, who had never succeeded in anything during the war, failed to consider the fact that their target was moving away from his position when he ordered the torpedo set to make contact and explode at that then current plotted distance. The torpedoes quit running on schedule, turned, and headed straight to the hard bottom below. The triggers for the torpedoes were in the nose cone area. Upon impact, they went boom. The second and last failed mission for the ill-fated U-352. May 9th, 1942 was a busy time during the war. Those are just a little snippet of things that were happening. Interesting that a yacht that we had converted into a patrol yacht was sunk that day off North Carolina by a different German U-boat, and then we sank a German U-boat that same day. It's a small world out there.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, hope y'all doing fine this fine Friday.
I'm doing good. Now I know why Shockwave won't go sit on the couch.
Why?
Because you've got those blasted balloons over there. I have to go move them.
I'll move them.
He was sitting on it earlier.
No, you don't like them.
He was
You don't
sitting
like
on
those
it.
balloons.
He was on it this morning.
I don't like
I
those
had no
balloons.
problem.
The fan blew it over there.
It was there all the
Here you go,
time.
Shockwave. Here you go, buddy.
Okay. Anyway, yes, I rescued a few men who cooked balloons from the event last weekend just because they were going to explode them and send them away. And I didn't want to do that at the time. I just thought it'd be kind of cute to keep for a day or two anyway as a memory of that fine event. Still a lot of fun. Ate a little bit more of that soup yesterday, too.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get a cup over to your neighbor?
Not there yet. No, not yet. Got some to my sister. She came up and came down. And I got some to my sister-in-law yesterday who was here.
Very good.
I
Very
was still getting reviews just to be sure it was still good. It was. So nobody's been sick yet, so that's always a good thing.
I hope not. I ate that soup.
Oh, I have too.
It was so good.
Catholics around the world are celebrating the selection of a pope to replace the late Pope Francis, who died after a long illness last month. This is an historical event in several ways, including the fact that the new pope is the first American pope in the history of the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost has selected Leo the 14th for his name for his reign.
I'd be curious to know why he picked that.
He's a 69-year-old Augustinian, and appeared on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica wearing the traditional red cape of the papacy, a cape that Pope Francis had chosen not to wear after his election back in 2013. I don't remember why he didn't want to wear it. Do you?
Yeah, I do remember. I think it was something about him he thought it was a little ostentatious.
We're talking about the Catholic Church.
I hear what you're saying.
No problem with 1,000,000 candles burning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Anyway, his first words as Pope were, "Peace be with you," which he said in Italian, and delivered a message to the faithful to continue building bridges, pushing peace, and promoting dialogue without fear. The new Pope then switched to Spanish to recall his years as a missionary and later as an archbishop in Peru. He did not deliver any words yesterday in English.
No, none.
Word is that his views are much the same as those of the late Pope Francis.
Mhm.
Francis brought Prevost to the Vatican in 2023 to serve as the powerful head of the office that vets bishop nominations from around the world, one of the most important jobs in the Catholic Church. As a result, he had a leg up going into the conclave that few other cardinals have ever had. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from Villanova University back in 1977 before taking his solemn vows and studying theology at the Catholic Theological Union of Chicago in 1982. We have an American Pope.
First ever.
First ever.
Caught everybody off guard, too.
Yes, it did.
Surprised
They were
me too.
expecting it to be either the African
Mhm.
cardinal or the one from the Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
heard the one-
I would have put money on the guy from the Philippines.
Yeah, that was the
But everybody forgot that this guy was chosen by Francis to be way up there. Okay, so I don't know. I'm just saying. Why don't they pick younger popes who can last a lot longer?
Well, he's
He's
by
69.
Pope standards, he's
Well, I
younger.
know he's 69, but
Yeah.
I mean, even 10 or 12 years,
I think they've.
because let's say Francis would have served 12 years.
Mhm.
they must
from
have some kind of
2013.
I think it was like some kind of
minimum
age requirement. Yeah.
age requirement or
Yeah, you
something.
got to be between 65 and 71 or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
whatever it is.
That's weird.
I guarantee you there's a reason.
We
just
well,
need to-
they may not,
they
it may
might
not
not
be a
be
written reason, but it
seasoned.
might be a, okay.
Knowledgeable.
I'd
Yeah.
like to see be interested to see the ages of all of those
Yes.
who were up for the possibility.
It was
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all standing on the balcony,
Uh-huh.
because they come out
Yes,
before he does.
Yep.
yesterday when they announced that the smoke had turned from black to white, and I looked at my watch and I go, "Wow,
that's 2 days. That's pretty fast.
I really expected it to be a little bit longer."
Yeah,
but
well, I kind of expected it to be within
Yeah.
hours because I thought he was going to be the guy from the Philippines, and that was going to be it. Just-
yeah.
I don't know. That was the talk
This
of the
one
town.
caught everybody off guard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, coming up this morning, and I'm not sure we settled on a time, but sometime between now and the time we get out of here, we're going to have the esteemed senator from Onslow County
Right.
joining us in here, Senator Mike Lazaro, longtime friend, associate, a businessman, Marine.
Veteran
Yeah, a veteran.
Yes.
And he produces good food too,
for former Mayor Pro Tem.
and great signs. Yeah, former Mayor Pro Tem for the city of Jacksonville. He took over. He stepped into the huge shoes with some big feet. Let's just put it that way. For
When he stepped into the role of our
Senator Harry
senator.
Brown,
Yes.
when he decided he
He
wasn't going to
stepped
run
into
again,
some big shoes.
Senator Lazaro said, "Okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I think I should." And he was endorsed by outgoing Senator Brown.
Yes.
So that was that was a good move all the way around. So he's done good by us, and we're going to find out this morning just how hard that work is. Well, I had a little chat with him Saturday night. So he was one of the judges of the Men Who Cook
Yes.
deal.
Yes.
I got to find out how he voted if he voted for me too. By the way, okay. Well, I just don't. I'm kidding.
No.
You need a job. Looking for a good job here in Eastern North Carolina. Y'all
I know
want one?
someone who is. Yes.
Oh, good.
What is it?
Where is this person located?
Wilmington area.
No, this one he needs to be a little bit closer. Pretty good position has opened up in Newport, though.
Yes.
If you have,
Yes, they do have
desires
a
to
good
try
one.
your hand as a building inspector, this could be your opportunity.
I saw
Go
that.
straight
What
to
a hot
building
mess.
inspector. Yay!
Yes.
The position
How
became available suddenly.
Dumb.
Up until
Idiots.
midweek, it was filled by 36-year-old Joshua Dupree. Mr. Dupree was arrested by the police in neighboring Morehead City, giving no special favors to the man because he was a neighbor or because of his position. Warrants were obtained, charging the now ex-building inspector with
I love this. I love this.
maintaining a vehicle to distribute drugs, 3 counts of trafficking opium or heroin, possession of heroin, manufacture Schedule 1 controlled substance, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Now,
Dumb. Dumb.
for all you
Dumb.
folks who may have been buying dope from a guy driving around Morehead, driving a red Toyota Tacoma pickup truck, let me give you just a little hint. You might want to go check with the Morehead PD. Tell them what you know. Pretty sure you know that there are cameras on dashboards, trees, buildings, most everywhere these days. It would be smart to make a preemptive deal as fast as you can. I'm just saying. Dupree's bond was set at $500,000.
And that was
Ouch.
such a good job.
Yes, it was.
That was such a good job, and to throw it all away.
Yeah.
And I take it that he was maybe distributing while he was on work hours.
I don't know.
Kinda took it that
sometime
way, but-
during the week, I would assume so.
Yes.
That was a 1969 Toyota, so I'm assuming it was not a city
Which
vehicle.
is now in the possession of the.
Yeah, well, it'll be it'll be awarded to the city of Morehead City
Sure
at some point in
will.
time.
What a hot mess. I mean, what a hot.
I love
hot
looking at
mess.
stories like that. You know how
I
dumb.
heard about it yesterday.
When you get
I
to
had
be
somebody send it to
36,
me.
you should have matured just a little bit. You should have gotten a little bit smarter. Building inspector's job is not chump change. It's a
No.
good position,
For some, it's a lot of power. I'm going
good
to tell you
pay.
that. Too much
or
power.
sometimes a
personally,
lot of
but
pay, a lot of
yes.
power. Yeah, you're right there. But it matters not. It pays good.
Yeah.
So what the Sam Hill was he thinking, or anybody thinking? This is presuming he's guilty.
Got me.
But if guilty as charged,
Yeah.
man, dude,
Well,
dude, wake up.
Stupidity is all. I'm
Dude.
talking about to be being stupid.
if that was him, I'd go ahead and plead out because I have a feeling.
Oh yeah, you better be more. I hope you got somebody you can roll over on. Is all I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way this game works, y'all.
Uh,
If you don't want to be someone's buddy, you might want to be discussing some kind of an arrangement.
Yeah, we've had quite a few in the state
Just
of North
saying.
Carolina over the last month or so that good jobs and being
Acting
fired for
a
stupidity.
fool. Yes.
Just
Acting the fool.
I love reading these stories. Is
I
there
do. I
just
saw
something
that
wrong? Is there
yesterday.
something
I
wrong
saw
with
it.
me?
I had to send it to you right away. I was like, "Are you kidding me?
Is there something wrong with me that I like that kind of stuff?
Ridiculous."
It's just, I think,
They call it dope for a reason.
well, you and I think a lot alike about some things. And I
Dope.
think some of it is just the sheer stupidity. I mean, the absolute sheer stupidity of this.
When I bought dope
Uh-huh.
on the city hall steps in Wilmington,
Right.
while city council was meeting,
hmm
that's
I-
stupid.
I just can't.
You
I
just
mean,
can't. You can't do it. When I'm shooting video at a place that I had been buying dope from hiding, I was shooting as a car with a license plate and a UNCW decal from a professor who drives up, gets out, goes into said place, comes back with bag in hand, he gets in car and drives away. You've got to be some kind of stupid.
Well, professors are people too.
Well, I got one for you that is real quick in the stupid category. It'll make you mad, and it's got a lot of parents of autistic kids fired up.
Okay, I'm kind of got
North
personal stuff
Carolina,
there.
Charlotte area. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know. So I'm trying
Homo Democrats.
to wrap my head around the police's logic. Okay, on this.
Sometimes
This is going to fire some people up.
the bigger the city, the worse the problem.
A teacher was caught in the bathroom of a school
How?
By another staff member
Okay.
kissing a 5-year-old autistic nonverbal child.
Saw that.
Okay.
Life.
The police have declined to charge the person, the teacher, because they say the child cannot talk and say for certain that it was her that did it. Now, notice I said caught by another staff member.
witness.
There was a teacher witness.
Yeah, I can word her word against
Kissing.
A 5-year-old nonverbal.
Let me just make sure we understand. I
Yes.
mean, my first grade teacher kissed every one of us every day on the way out of school.
This was not that kind of a kiss in the bathroom. And the mom had stated, once again, when you're working with kids that are nonverbal, you have to look at other clues for things, even when they're hurt, whatever. The child had started crying every morning before going to school. That should have been a mom's first clue something was up. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. She says in hindsight, she should have put more together. Didn't know what. So the speculation now has become this has been more than would lead credence to why the child all of a sudden who didn't mind going all of a sudden had a problem going. But caught by another teacher, walked in and saw it.
Okay. We talk about child is male, female?
Female. It doesn't say what the teacher is.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
We don't know the sex of the teacher.
I'm gonna pull a Rayford.
Okay.
Do we
We
have a name?
we don't know for sure that this teacher that says that the other teacher allegedly did this is telling the truth. Maybe she doesn't like that teacher. Maybe she made it up.
That'd be a tough one to make up, though.
I agree, but maybe that's why they were
that will come
charged.
back to bite you on your backside and get you gone.
I think.
And
Did they fire the teacher?
No, even better. They sent the teacher home for the day when it
Well,
happened.
when did this happen?
About a month ago.
Oh, Lord, that long ago?
Yeah,
And she's still on the
yeah.
job?
And because when was it? When did it happen?
It just seemed like it was
March
recent.
28th.
Have the parents, not her parents, the
If I
kids'
were that
parents,
mom, I
how
would
about the
burn
other
that
parents?
school
How
to
about the
the
other?
ground.
How about the other parents of all the kids in that school?
Yeah.
Have they not rebelled?
The parents are so angry. Parents are starting to get ticked up. And of course, I mean, I can't understand law enforcement's rationale because there's been other cases of similar things where it wasn't autistic, just a young child where they've pursued charges. So why not? Like stuff like this boils my blood. And I mean, I guess I probably shouldn't be surprised that it's Charlotte Mecklenburg School District, but this is absolutely outrageous, especially when you've got a child that's exhibiting symptoms of something else occurring, the crying, not wanting to go to school. I mean, because nonverbal kids, you have to rely on other clues to determine sometimes if they even have an injury, if they have a headache anything.
But the problem is trying to get this kid to even communicate. I know can't talk, but
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's sad.
it's that's going to be a problem. Just wow.
This is so disturbing.
So you don't have anything but she said, she said. That's sad.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Criminally, it's going to be a problem. Civilly, it's going to be a problem. But you know what? If enough pressure is put by I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is one time that I promote, not mob deals, but a very
like a protest
strong
or-
presence.
Yeah.
And first presence, should go to the principal. All of them should
Yeah.
show up at the principal's
Yeah.
office
Board of Education
and
meeting.
then
What did
go to the Board of Education
the principal issued a
See it
statement?
now.
Yeah, the principal actually issued a statement
and said, no, it's all right. We're looking into it. Right?
because they're saying the police are saying she can't tell her side of the story.
I don't care about her side.
She's 5 and she's
There are people
autistic
that
and
are
she's
murdered.
nonverbal.
Wait a minute. So the child was a female.
Yeah.
The teacher was.
They're not
Don't know
saying what
yet.
the teacher is. They're not saying the
That could
sex
play
of the
into it.
teacher.
Because if it's a male teacher, what is he doing in the bathroom
Well, that's right.
with the female student?
Or
Yeah,
We need more info.
yeah. And so the
Get on this,
principal
Kelly.
says, due to privacy laws,
baloney.
Of course.
we are unable to share details regarding the
Baloney.
investigation. I want to assure you that we take the safety and well-being of our students very seriously.
Standard
Bull.
statement.
Bull.
You know, but I
Well, here,
can
let me go back to
understand
that
that.
police.
So
What
angry.
you just said about the police. the kid can't say anything.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
Let me explain to you, dead people
Yeah.
don't say anything, but we make arrests for the people who killed,
Correct.
don't we?
But they,
Duh.
yes, and they've had younger victims than that of things that have been charged. This
How
is
about adult
such
victims
BS.
who are, I don't know, have dementia,
Yeah.
or Alzheimer's?
Correct.
We've made arrests for the
Yes.
people in nursing homes, have we not?
Yes, I
Do you
agree.
think that they can
Probably
talk?
have more proof, though.
No.
I don't know.
No,
It
you got
just-
an
You
eyewitness
got
from a
a
teacher.
flat up eyewitness. Yes.
Unless-
Walked in and
unless-
Is that teacher credible?
Well, first of
Nobody
all,
should- well, if she's not, then why is she in a classroom teaching?
well, why is the other one in the
Well,
classroom
I mean,
teaching
I'm
too?
just
But
saying.
Right.
you would have to prove that she's not credible first, or that she had a vendetta against this teacher.
Correct.
I'd like to know more about
Now,
it,
you'd have to know
especially
more.
the sex of the teacher.
However,
I would like, and it's interesting
This-
how they're not saying it.
Yes.
just because there's a clear-cut crime if they're opposite sexes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Period,
If they're
bottom line.
opposite sexes,
The guy can't take the girl to the bathroom. Y'all,
exactly.
well,
I think
in
there's more to the
Charlotte-
story. I want to
in
know
Charlotte,
more.
the bathroom place, remember?
We're going to have to do some investigating.
Okay, we got some off again, on again, off again, and
Mhm.
maybe on again weather things
No mowing
happening.
today.
It's kind of cloudy on the outside. It's 7:30 almost, and it's kind of cloudy on the outside. No wind right now.
But it's human.
Yeah, it is humid. Humidity is way up there. Some up and down marine conditions are beginning today as well. High pressure will remain well offshore as a cold front approaches the area from the west. This front will track across the region overnight tonight. High pressure will build in from the north over the weekend, with a low pressure system expected to impact the area early next week. Up and down. Today, offshore out to 20 nautical miles, not too bad. Southwesterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southerly 10 to 15 this afternoon. Seas 3 to 4 feet, 10 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers a light chop, increasing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. There is going to be a chance of showers at some point in time offshore. You know, if you're going fishing, just be prepared. You may get wet. Saturday, tomorrow, northeasterly winds 15 to 20, gust to 25. Waves are going to be kicking up too, diminishing to 10 to 15 in the afternoon. 3 to 5 footers. They will be 2 to 3 near shore, but the inlet, keep in mind, those inlets are going to be rather tricky. Sounds and rivers chopping, diminishing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. Doable with the right boat and skipper. Sunday, easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4, sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
Today, showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly actually after 5 p.m. Otherwise, well, I don't know if you look outside, I
That could
disagree
look
with
like
that
it could
statement.
happen
I'm just
anytime.
saying. Mostly cloudy, otherwise, a high of 83. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly before 11. So it looks like between 5 and 11, showers and thunderstorms. Otherwise, mostly cloudy, low of 57. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 76. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, low of 60. But on Sunday, mostly cloudy, a high of 73, and a 40% chance of rain.
Yeah, my weather app right here shows rain starting at 8 o'clock.
I believe that by looking at
9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Then
I-
it clears and it starts at 2 o'clock,
I
3
concur
o'clock.
with that better than this nonsense right
Oh, yeah.
here.
If you look
Yeah.
at the weather map.
Yeah. I'll make you scared. Yeah.
Weather, that's the one job
True.
that you can keep and be wrong and still keep your job.
You're going to be wrong if you're producing weather for a wide area, like 10 or 12 counties, like the National Weather Service has to do. They have to go through and say that's why that percentage of rain is there.
Of course.
Somewhere within that area, there's going to be some rain, likely. Okay, that's the way things work. Okay, a couple of months ago, we talked in here at length with FBI agent John Legato and
Yes.
a gentleman, Kevin Smith,
Yes.
who had been released finally from the Craven County jailhouse. He had been in the jailhouse
Finally.
for years, almost 6 years, under some strange charges. And, well, WITN, our friends over at WITN, they kind of got involved. They wanted to do a story and set them up. And, yeah, they came down and did a story. So Dave Jordan cut a promo for the 2 stories that are going to be coming up next week on
I
WITN.
see this, yes.
This is Dave Jordan from WITN TV. I've been looking into the case of Kevin Smith. The Craven County man had 17 charges filed against him back in 2016 from both Craven and Onslow counties. Serious charges of rape and assaulting prostitutes. He spent nearly 6 years behind bars, but his case never went to trial. All of the felony charges dropped or dismissed. Now Smith and others are asking, how could something like this happen? We'll hear from him, a retired FBI special agent, and also what the district attorneys in Craven and Onslow County are saying, as well as the Craven County Sheriff's Office, coming up on Monday and Tuesday on WITN News at 6.
That it was an interesting story when we covered it, when we did it. And it's going to be a very interesting story
Yes.
because I was sat in on his interviews, and he had, oh my God, he had hours of, it seemed like hours
Yes,
of
sir.
interviews, had a lot of work to do. And then he has still, Dave had to go out and do interviews with the
Of course.
district attorneys. He had to investigate further, which he did. He did a wonderful job, and I'm interested to see the story. Whatever the outcome of the story is, we only had one side of that whole mess.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Dave is out there to get everything, all of the above, up and operating. Okay, as we told you, he's kind of wearing the wrong color in here this morning, but I got something that will take care of that just in case.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Senator Mike Lazar.
How are you?
Fine. Did you just fly in here on your
I
two wheels
did.
from
I'm a jet.
Raleigh?
How did you get a day off?
He doesn't. He's just got a few minutes off. I'm sure that's the way it's going to work. So, yeah, Mike Lazar joining us now, as we told you.
Good morning.
We hear a lot goes on in Raleigh, and
A
I'm
lot goes on in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Y'all been busy.
Let me ask you this one. There's all those meetings that you have to sit through. At the end of a session, do they do any good?
Well, let's just put it like this. There's a lot of bills that get filed, and maybe about 12% actually make it through
Really?
the finish line. So,
So 88%
But you know
of
that-
your time is wasted.
well, I wouldn't say wasted. There's a lot of good things we talk about and learn about, and so I wouldn't say it's wasted. But there's a lot of things that we do that could be probably more productive at times.
I would assume, and sometimes that's a bad thing to be doing, that some of those bills are kind of frivolous that people just throw out there to see if it will stick. Maybe
That's right.
they may have
So
some.
there's
something
a
on the
variety
lines.
of reasons why bills are filed, and some are legitimately good ideas and good concepts, and then there's some that are politically driven.
Oh, really?
So
I'm surprised,
yeah.
dismayed. Well, I know that comes with the territory, comes with the job. Everybody, you represent a county,
That's right.
one of 100 in this state, and you want everything you could get for the citizens of this county, which you should. But I'm sure the reps, the senators, and the state representatives from the other counties also want the best for their counties,
That's
everything
right.
they can get. So everybody wants a piece of the pie, the biggest piece of the pie they can get.
And we have different geographical needs across the state. If you're in Western Carolina, obviously Western Carolina recovery is
Oh yeah,
front and foremost in your mind. And if you're in Eastern North Carolina, flounder fishing may be a priority.
It is.
So it varies throughout the state. And so you see a variety of legislation that's filed. And, the different committees, the healthcare and the education and transportation, everybody has their own sort of area of responsibility, and you typically focus in that area, and you see a lot of language, filed in those specific areas of various nature. But, statistically speaking, since I've been there, only about 10 to 12% of what's filed actually make it, to the governor's signature. And a lot of those are going to be agency bills that, that we do every biennium that, that has important provisions that get updated. But, one of the things that I think we do fairly well is, is really be specific in what we actually get across the finish line.
I know Lee's got a whole list of stuff here that we can pursue, but
Yeah.
one question, one thought process here. We've got a new person in charge of the North Carolina Board of Elections, and it turns out to be a Republican, while the Democrats in charge of the governor's office. A big change
Yeah, we
has
have-
come down the pipe. Is that good or bad?
Well, we believe it's good. You know, the balance of power is always good, and I think it's a good thing.
I'm glad he is the Francis DeLuca, because
Mhm.
I know him, because I need to call him, because I told Rayford the other day that for over 2.5 years, I've been trying to get somebody's campaign finance closed out that ran for a state office.
Mhm.
And I have gone through it has been so hard dealing with some of the people there and trying to get, and them telling me, we'll get back to you, and they never do. And it's been going on for 2.5 years now. So
Yeah, and
I'm going
much,
to be calling Mr. DeLuca.
and you know, we've had a lot of
Yes.
legislation in the last few years to sort of tailor that to the Board of Elections and sort of get it to where we think it should be for the people of North Carolina and to be fair and unbiased.
Very good. Very
And
good.
I think we're on the right road to that.
Can the voters of North Carolina, before we get into the nuts and bolts, can the voters of North Carolina rest assured, feel good about we know we had a mess with one of the elections.
Yes.
Can we feel good that this is not going to be a repeat situation?
Well, we're extremely optimistic about that. And, you know, again, some of the legislation that we've passed and some of the boards and commissions that we've changed and requirements that we've adopted, that we believe that North Carolina will be in the very top when it comes to elections and election integrity.
Okay.
Speaking of such, I saw that the House had a bill out, and this has been a while. It's HB 31. It was make Election Day a holiday.
Yeah.
God.
So again, you know, as we talked about, there's a lot of feel-good bills, and
Yeah.
again, that probably will be one of them.
I had to
you
kind
know.
of laugh when
It's
I saw
kind of like
that
the
one.
daylight saving time
Yes.
bill.
Well, that was
Yeah.
going to be next on
that
our
we
list.
file, that we file, every
I think the House
session.
and the Senate
Yeah,
both
we
filed a
both
bill on
filed.
that.
Yeah, but
Do you see it going anywhere?
no, because leadership just they won't move that bill, knowing that the federal government's not going to.
Well, some states have it.
Yeah, some
Arizona
states
has
do have it.
a standard time year
But you know,
round.
I got to think about
Hawaii
it.
has standard time year round.
What if North Carolina passed it and we were on one time zone and Virginia and South Carolina was on
You mean
another?
like
different time
Arizona
zone,
and
yeah.
California and New Mexico?
I mean, I'm talking about the ones right here on the East Coast, our neighbors.
Well, Arizona, New Mexico, they're on
Right.
different time
Yeah.
zones.
I personally would love to see it because I'm,
I think we're all in agreement.
Well,
on
you've
that.
got, let's just go down to a little town down there in South Georgia. It's right on the border, Columbus, with
Yeah.
another town right across the border in
That's-
Alabama.
That's like
And guess
asking
what?
Alexa.
They're on two different time zones
That's
all the
like-
time.
Asking Alexa, what time is it right now in Mexico? Well,
Well,
we have like 5 different time zones in
Yeah.
Mexico.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I got.
but it's been filed every session since I've been there, and
How
Yeah, it's
far
just
does it ever reach the
it
floor?
does. No,
Well, I know the House bill was like 31, so they're
Yeah.
in the 800s now. So if
Yeah.
if it's still in the committee, it's never coming out.
never coming out.
It's
So yeah, again, we talked about bills, but a lot of bills that get filed, end up sitting in rules.
Well, we
before
hear from
they
people
actually
every
get to
year,
committee.
twice every year, we hear from people screaming, why doesn't the legislature do something? Aren't you guys supposed to listen to the people? I don't know what something is, but
Well, we are supposed to listen to the people, and we do listen to the people, but we also understand how the process works, and while something may seem just
Nice.
as easy to us to say, why can't we?
I have it muted.
no, you
It's
don't.
okay.
Sit on it.
Why can't we do this? Well, you just can't do it because there's regulatory burdens and there's processes that it has to go through. And if you know that you can't get to the finish line, there's no need to move those bills. Or for example, we have this in the Senate. One of our sort of caucus rules is that we don't file license plate bills. And the theory behind that is, well, if you file and I do a license plate bill for you, I've got 50 other
Uh-huh.
members in every
True.
session.
True.
Where does it end? And that sort of thing. So there are some rules that make a lot of sense in the grand
It
scheme
would take
of
up a lot of
things.
time and
Take up a lot of
and not
time.
get the stuff done that's got to get done.
That's
Well,
right.
talking about license
Oh,
plate,
there you
let's
go.
talk about the driver's license expiration moratorium that y'all are talking about.
Yes. So
That's a real one.
That's a real one.
That's
Yes.
something that needs
So
to be
first of
discussed.
all, we're very excited. We have a new commissioner that started on Tuesday,
Right.
Paul Tyne, who was
Right.
a former representative. I've had a chance to sit down and meet with him, and very excited about having him on board. We will probably, so crossover was this week. So we were in a rush to get bills on the floor that needed to meet crossover, but we're still working on our what we call our transportation omnibus. And I think as part of that, we may have a provision that will delay renewals. Not certain yet. I know the House had something that may have passed, but what we want to do is we want to give the new commissioner an opportunity to sort of get his bearings straight.
Gotcha.
And we've had a lot of internal conversation. I think there's no one that's been more passionate about getting DMV fixed than I have.
You
Oh,
have been.
and,
You
I
have
concur
been.
with that.
And
Yes.
we've come a long way. I know that it doesn't seem that way, but we have come a long way in terms of the back end things that need to take place at DMV, which is replacing three very outdated software systems that sort of operate behind the scenes, and in order to get us into a more modern age. So we're really optimistic about getting some really good changes and what I call stopping the bleeding very soon.
You know,
And that may be part of it.
Yes.
We may modify the appointment process that we have now, because that's not working, and delay some of the renewals as it relates to non-federal requirements. Yeah, so we can delay that. Vision that we in our that would do away with decal registration cards. So we're trying to eliminate the amount of time that people actually have to go to a DMV and move that into the future.
Kelly's got a story on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I do that
I've got a
5:15.
lot of stories.
Yes,
I bet you
I'm
have.
sure you do.
Now,
5:15 in the morning, I was there.
Let me ask you this one. There are 49 other states in this country, right?
Yeah.
Every one of them has a DMV type of operation, right?
Yes.
Isn't there just one state that does it right somewhere? And if there is, can't we
No.
copy it?
So,
don't think so.
in all fairness, DMV is an issue across all 50
Yeah, I
states.
know it is.
I'm
I hear
sure.
you.
And I think it's just because of population growth, the amount of drivers that you have, the renewal periods,
Federal interference.
federal interference. It's a lot. But now we're sort of what I call moving into the digital age, and you have to, you have to figure out how you can do more on your devices than having to physically go in. For example, like digital credentialing, where you do all your credentialing online and you literally have everything ready to go. And when you go in, you're basically validating, getting your ID, and getting back out.
Well, that's
So it's about a process that we've got to
Aunt Maud
modernize.
at 83 years of age, when she goes, she's not going to have her digital anything with
no.
her.
well, that's what they were talking about. I know, like,
But if we can alleviate
most of them-
80%,
That's
Oh,
right.
heck yes.
we're never going to do away with in person, obviously, but many of the things that we do can be done on your smartphone or on your
Yes.
computer
Sure.
as it relates to DMV. We're going to digital titles, digital licenses where you have it on your phone. We're
yeah, a lot of states do that. already.
modernizing a lot of it. But in order to do a lot of this modernization, the back end has to be modernized because we're still on Cobalt. Our systems are very old on the
Right.
back end. And I think there's about, whenever you ping a DMV individual, it has to hit about 10 or 12 different agencies that actually connect to those back end because did you pay your taxes? Do you have any infractions? So all this communication has to come back to these back end servers that are very outdated. So a lot of times the systems are down, like when you go and get an inspection. You know, that has to be updated to the main
Right.
systems. Well, a lot of times that
There's
system is down or they can't
one
get it
system or the
updated.
other is down. One end
And
is down.
so yes, so that creates a real bottleneck. And then the other piece of it is how fast do we get people in and out of a DMV? You know, if one person takes 30 minutes, how many can you possibly
That
see in a day?
fast does not apply here.
Yeah. So again, it's a very inefficient operation, and no disrespect to our former commissioner, but he really set us back.
That was Goodwin.
Yes.
Yeah, Wayne Goodman.
And who's
Goodwin,
a great individual.
Yes.
I mean, I like Wayne, but the department has really set us back. And you know, again, North Carolina continues to grow in population.
Yeah.
Well, I
You
know
know, so you have more and more pressure.
6 months ago when you were on the
under
show, that
DMVs.
was one of your main focus. And
Yeah.
I know it's been a main focus of yours to try to get these issues fixed. And it's
those of us in this county, and those of us in Craven County, those
Right.
of us in Cumberland County, we have a unique set of circumstances to deal with. People moving in here on a regular basis, and they're trying to get a license plate for it, perhaps. They want a North Carolina license plate.
Yep, and they want a North Carolina license. So all
Yes.
they're doing is just switching their license
Uh-huh.
from another state to our state. So, you know, you think that would be something that could be very easily done.
These states that we call united are not as united
No.
as you would think that they are.
No.
well, you were talking about, you brought up the inspection fee. And I know the Senate had a bill to increase the vehicle inspection fee, but I've noticed it sat for a long time.
Yeah, that will not go.
Yes.
So as a transportation chair, I can choose what I want to hear.
Very good.
So no, that we're not ready for that. And you know, I don't want to be ugly, but there will be a day that we won't need
Oh.
inspections.
Yeah.
And so
But-
which impacts a lot of our small businesses across the
Right.
state. And so we're I'm very, very cautious about that. But I think we do need to think about what the future will look like with vehicles and technology.
Right.
The reason inspections were originally
Because of the
created
cars
was
smoking down the
it was
highway and running on
emissions.
ball
Yeah.
tires.
it was
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
those
it was
days.
based around emissions,
Yeah.
and you know, emissions are
Right.
not an issue anymore.
Right,
And so
right.
times are changing, but no, I did not hear the bill, so inspection fees are not changing.
Okay,
Very,
thank you.
very good. How about the I-95 toll?
I-95 toll will not be heard.
Yay.
either. So,
I can just imagine what a
Yay.
traffic nightmare that would be. I'm glad y'all are not fooling with
I
that.
could just see the drug dealers running from Florida to to
Well-
New York, trying to have to stop to pay a toll. They ain't gonna do it.
I-95 to North Carolina is 2 lanes anyway. It's a nightmare. So
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it is. So, yeah, it is a nightmare. And, you know, that bill you're referring to actually prohibits
Right.
us
Yeah.
from tolling 95.
Good.
And the reason we're not hearing it in transportation is because, you know, we don't want to leave, you know, transportation is a very important part of North Carolina.
Oh, I agree.
And our infrastructure, we have 81,000 miles of road, the second largest in the country next to Texas.
Wow.
And,
I didn't know that.
and our budget is about
Interesting.
$5.4 billion. And that's split between STI, which is basically new projects at about 2.4 billion and 2.3 billion for maintenance. And what I can tell you is that that is not nearly enough. Texas has nearly a $9 billion budget, and you know we're in the $5 billion. We're behind on our new infrastructure improvements. We're behind on new road projects. We're doing very well on maintenance, but we do have some deficiency in bridge replacement, which you know we fully fund what we call a MOPAR report that we get. we are doing very well with that. But what we are not doing very well with is delivering local projects. So the way that money is distributed is it's in 3 different tiers. You have a statewide, you have a regional, and then you have a local. And the statewide bucket dips into the regional, and the regional dips into the local.
Oh, I see.
And with post-COVID cost escalations of 40 to 60%, you're only getting 40 cents on a dollar now. And so projects are costing so much more. So we're not delivering local projects like we should be. Hence the 258 interchange and a lot of the other projects that have been delayed over and over again. So, I said that all that to say that we always want to leave the ability for tolling open because we believe that P3 projects work. And as the state continues to grow, you talk about I-95. Well, I-95 is a disaster.
It is. I hate it. I hate it. Yes.
And there's,
yes.
It would take, I don't know how many years worth of budgets to even, attempt to do anything about 95. But tolling would provide the revenue needed to make I-95 what it should be.
But
so we never want to put that.
Once the tolling is there, it's there forever, not just for bring it up to speed. It's going to be there forever and ever and ever as a source of revenue. And speaking of a source of revenue, many years ago, you got your driver or you got your North Carolina license plate, right? You paid a fee for it. And then suddenly they got something to be called a road use tax because every time you buy a new car, you have to pay a higher tax on just because you bought a car. And then you got to pay a declining amount of property taxes every year. It's a really weird arrangement here that never seems to go away. Road use, gasoline taxes on gasoline that we sell.
We're being double taxed.
Triple tax. But we pay this tax at the gas pump, right? It's supposed to go to do whatever.
Yeah, gas tax, we rely heavily on gas tax.
But does it go anywhere else other than for?
No, it goes strictly for
nothing else.
No,
nobody else touches it.
No, sir.
That's a welcome relief.
Strictly transportation. And as a matter of fact, a couple of 2 budget cycles ago, we were able to pass a transfer of general fund dollars into transportation because our revenue just isn't where it needs to be. And, people say, well, why can't we have roads like Florida? They don't even have state tax. Well, if you travel to Florida, you will pass a lot of tolls.
Yes, you will.
And tolls
True.
is, I'm not a fan of having to pay more for anything, but tolls is a user fee. If you use the road, you pay a fee. And that's why you see such wonderful roads in Florida.
Whether you live in Florida or you live in California, you drive in Florida, you're going to pay for the roads.
Yeah.
You're going to help pay for the roads.
But revenue continues to be an issue in transportation in order to deliver the projects that most communities need.
Now, aren't you the chairman of that
I
committee?
am.
Is Representative Shepherd still on the committee?
He is on the House side, yes.
On the House side. That makes sense. Yes.
Mhm.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, one of the contentious bills that's out there
Oh,
deals
yes.
with bang bang guns.
Freedom to carry.
Freedom to carry without a permit. You can carry a gun concealed
Right.
without a permit. There will be requirements, of course, that you can't be a nut. You can't even possess a gun if you're a nut. All right.
Regular laws still stand.
Other laws still stand. This is not going to close concealed carry permitting process,
No.
though, is it?
No.
Okay,
It's
'cause that's one of the concerns.
Constitutional carry is what it is. And right now, if you're 18 years or older, you can open carry.
Right.
So essentially, this gives you a constitutional right to carry
Concealed.
concealed.
Right.
One of the issues that a lot of folks have is that they're going to be out there. They don't have any training, and some people, even when they go to a concealed carry class, they get at least a basic amount of information during their day-long course. This is what I cannot do. A lot of people that I've seen in these classes are like, "Wow, I didn't know I couldn't just shoot that guy because he stole my outboard motor."
Yeah, there's different. different schools of thought on that, because there's people that would say, well, right now you can open carry and you don't need a class.
True.
That's right.
True.
So how can you require a constitutional carry individual to have a class, but not someone who open carries?
Do you
You know, you
think
can go
this-
to Walmart and see someone, you know,
Yes.
with a
Do you-
357.
here's the concern that a lot of
It's just a constitutional right.
a lot of concealed carry permittees today, the concern that I've heard expressed is that, okay, what happens when Walmart says, you know, I don't want a bunch of people in here who've never
Well-
had a class, and I'm now going to put that sticker on the door.
It's already on the door.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I've
So-
seen it.
Yeah.
Not in
Yes.
Walmart.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Walmart has a
You
sticker on
can't
the
carry
door.
a gun in
Yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah, it's on the door. Yeah.
So that does not change. Any business that does not want anyone to bring a weapon in the premises can
Right.
post that, and it would be illegal
So what the
to.
thing
have
is,
a
will
weapon
more
in that.
businesses decide that they don't want people who have not even had a class carrying a gun in their store?
Maybe.
Good for them.
That's what
Maybe.
some of the concealed
do,
carry
they do.
permittees are.
Yeah, that does not,
concerned with.
yeah, that rule does not change. If your
Yeah.
business does not want any weapons in their facility, they still have a right to post that.
Mhm.
Oh, well, I agree with that. And you know, I'm all for constitutional. I'm like Rayford, though. It just kind of makes me nervous thinking about some of the people that will conceal a weapon, not even know how to carry it, you know,
Yeah.
but that's going to happen with most anything.
Well, it is, but then
Just
you got-
scares
you got
me.
the thing
So,
there is
you know,
some
and
of these
I have
guys-
no problem with the educational piece.
Right.
Have absolutely no problem. I did the concealed carry. I've
Mhm.
actually done it twice, and it's a good class.
It's a good
Yeah.
class.
It's a good
It's-
class. And
and
but
whether you
I
carry
think
a gun or not,
anyone
you
that
ought to-
carries a gun, would you say would just carry a gun and not be educated about it?
Yes,
You think so?
yes, I do. I know there are a lot of hot dogs out there, and unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of those 18, 19, 20, 25, 42s going to get out there and say, you know what, this guy, hey, look at that shoplifter.
There's
over
going to
there.
be a few.
Look at that
yes.
shoplifter over there. I'm going to stop him.
Well, as you know, it passed the Senate, and now it's in the House.
Right. Do you
So,
feel like it'll go through the House?
I feel like it may make its way through the House, but
But
we
then there's
obviously there'll
Josh.
be a veto in place. You know,
well, we're not
governor
worried
would-
about that.
governor would veto it, and then we would have to obviously negotiate in the House to get an additional member to override the veto.
Do you feel like he's going to follow the same footsteps as Cooper did and veto everything?
No, I don't.
Because I've seen him
so,
approve some.
You know, so far the governor has shown to be a little bit more moderate than Cooper was.
Very
More
good.
And
realistic.
more reasonable. Now that can change tomorrow, but so far he's done a better job in being more moderate.
Coming from the AG's position, of which Cooper did too. However, Cooper, I don't think he was ever a real AG. Josh Stein, perhaps, did I have more AG, and he understands the laws better.
Yes, he does. And I had the privilege of working with him on a lot of different opioid issues in the past. So we do have a decent relationship, and I think he'll be a different governor.
God, I hope so.
than
He
Governor
appears,
Cooper.
from what I've seen already,
Mhm.
he seems to be more into being a better governor and being a people's governor.
Mhm.
So far,
Yeah.
looks good.
Yeah, the first 6 months is telling me a whole lot about him.
Yes.
Us too.
The first 2 days told me a lot about Cooper, but
Now, we were talking about the Freedom to Carry Act, which falls right in line with, this is another House bill,
Mhm.
where this bill is the HB 350, where you're supposed to report a lost or stolen firearm within the first 24 hours of it. You find it missing, or you
discovery
could
goes
be
wrong.
liable criminally and civilly if it's used in the commission of a crime.
Mhm. I don't know that. Did it make it through the floor?
I don't, I think
Which one is it?
HB 350. I think it went back to.
That's going to be so tough to enforce, number one. And first, here's the thing that I see about that. Okay, so you've got a gun,
Right,
and you didn't get that gun legally,
right.
and then it's stolen from you. and then you don't report it, you could be arrested for a
What?
couple of different crimes.
Man, we talked about
if you
this.
report it, you could be arrested for not reporting it. You could be arrested for reporting it if it was stolen and you had
Well, I'm
possession of
talking
it.
about just as a regular owner.
I understand that, but so there's going to be the problem with enforcement.
so-
I'm not talking about owner, the
so
bill
that-
law.
That bill has not left the Rules Commission. So that
Probably
it
won't.
didn't make crossover.
Yeah, because my whole thing was, I mean, I'm a gun owner, of course, and I have weapons and I have them to where they're not out in the open. I'll just say that. But I got worried. I was like, what if I had someone staying at my house and they found one of them and I didn't know they had taken it, and then they used it in the commission of a crime? I'm like, whoa, that made me nervous. I just,
But if you
didn't
don't
feel
know
right.
that it was stolen, even the bill says, until you find it, that you determine that it's gone, that's when you have 24 hours to report it.
So that's one of those bills that we talked about earlier that,
Mhm.
you know, is filed for political reason. That bill was filed by House Democrats.
Yeah, I did notice it was
Um,
a Democrat, and his sponsors were of
Yeah.
that political party too.
So a lot of times through the process, we may have a controversial bill on the floor, and the opposite, the Democrats will create an amendment that almost force you into
Voting against it.
yeah. Well, not we'll typically vote against it, but they'll use language, you know, that's kind of like this, where it makes you feel like, well, if I don't vote for it, you know,
Yep.
it's not politically sound. But that's just crafty politics, you know.
Well, I got a question.
Yes.
House Bill 519 was supposed to go into crossover. That's the bill that currently North Carolina law states a child or a teenager really can consent to mental health and substance abuse treatment without parental consent, or even have the parents have to be told. This bill would make it to where that takes that consent away. Did it make the crossover? Because I have a problem with that one, because there's some parents that believe their children don't need mental health or substance abuse
Or the
treatment.
religious beliefs
Yeah.
will not permit it.
And currently, the law will allow the kid to seek it, even if the parents don't give consent or don't know. But this takes that away. Is it going? Did it go through?
No, it made it through a committee, and then it went back to rules.
Okay, good.
I
That
noticed
made me
that on a
nervous.
lot of bills. I think the biggest
Yeah.
one
I
that
don't see
we've
that coming over.
Oh, that makes me
the
happy
one
to
that
hear.
we've talked about the most recently that we're really interested in is SB 94, which is repeal the death penalty.
No!
What?
That's also a
Dead issue.
An old one that
Democrat.
did issue.
Pardon,
Oh, okay,
pardon.
I got you,
Yeah.
got you, got you.
121 people up there. You need to pass a bill. We need
He
to
wants
start
them
the process.
killed.
Let's get it, get
Wants
it
it
get it
going.
going.
No, that bill was filed by several Democrats. And
Gotcha,
Why
gotcha.
don't you do like South Carolina has done in the next session? Go ahead and put another a bill out there and see if you can get three possibilities. You got old Sparky right now, which has never been used. We never use the electric chair.
Well,
Well, not
somebody-
recent times in North Carolina, we didn't use the electric chair. We used the gas chamber.
gas chamber.
Now they got the electric chair they dug up from somewhere, and then of course lethal injection. But we need to go ahead and do the firing squad, because if all of those others,
I thought
these
a
people
Republican
keep
was
screaming and
doing that.
hollering that this is cruel and unusual punishment because we don't know about these drugs, or we'll get bad drugs.
Yeah.
We're gonna get something that doesn't kill the guy right away. So give him a choice.
Give them a choice, yeah.
Fire
Now,
squad's
do
a
you
good one.
think-
South Carolina's used it twice recently.
North Carolina has had a stay on the death penalty for many years now. Has there been any talk whatsoever of reimposing it or
No,
nothing?
no, not since I've been there.
Right.
Okay, Rayford. A Republican-sponsored bill would reinstate the electric chair here in North Carolina and add firing squad. And the Democrats are complaining, but it's House Bill 270, but a Republican introduced it.
Which session?
Current,
Was it
because this came out 2
2025?
days ago. Yeah.
270? Yeah.
House
Well,
Bill
that's been a while
270.
back because they're in their 800s
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, they said it's still, if the bill now moves to a full state house for a vote. And this came out 2 days ago.
Hmm.
So, but the Democrats don't want it, but a Republican, it doesn't say which Republican.
270?
270 is what it says.
Let's see here. Yeah, the revised law on death penalty. Let's see here. I think
It says, oh, that was 2023.
I can tell you in just a moment.
All right. Oh, the ACLU.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure they're squawking.
Yeah.
But they're saying Democrats say families of victims do not want to happen. Bet they do. Bet
Yeah,
they
so
do.
that again it was
Yeah.
brought
it's
back
old.
to rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that won't make crossover.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad, Rayford, but we'll keep plugging
Here's one
away
for
at
you,
that.
Kelly. This is one that you brought to the story one morning.
Okay.
And that's the Senate Bill 535, regulate hemp-derived beverages. What was the name of that beverage that just came
geez.
out? And it's got, what is it, some type of THC or something in it?
else in it. Oh, you had asked me that.
Oh, God, it was two brothers.
And
Yeah.
it's sold here in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And I've been working
Let me
with
see if I
Sheriff
can find
We
Thomas.
can't hear you.
We've been looking to go to the stores.
Kelly,
So-
we can't hear you, Kelly.
Oh, sorry.
So THC drinks is
Yeah.
part of a comprehensive bill that we've been trying to pass as it relates to smokable hemp and vape shops and that whole thing. But what's happening with THC drinks is that it's becoming probably they predict up to 20+% of beer sales. So
Bad.
what we're trying to do within the regulatory framework is put guardrails around it, just like we're trying to do with a lot of the vape products. These drinks are becoming very popular. ALE wants the ability to distribute them.
Yeah.
Consumers want the ability to buy them direct. So there's a lot of conversation about how we handle these THC drinks, and they go from 10 millimeter to 100 or milligrams to 100 milligrams. So they can be very potent, and they're becoming very popular.
Right.
And so we've got to regulate how those drinks are marketed, how those drinks look in terms of design, and the amount of THC that we would allow
Oh, well,
in
that's
any
like-
one drink.
Kelly was saying you can buy it here in
buy it
Jacksonville,
in
certain
Jacksonville.
stores. You can order it on Amazon,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sheriff
You
Thomas
know,
and I
and
talked about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in North Carolina, we are really behind the 8 ball on this whole THC vape and
Yeah.
Well, I'm
we
glad you said that.
are.
I have a question.
and now we're trying to correct issues that have just, just in Onslow County, we have, 70 plus vape shops. And, I'm not saying that's good or bad.
Right.
All we're saying is that we need to protect our children who are vulnerable for a lot of these products. And we have got to get legislation passed that helps regulate what's available to our children and how it's packaged, how it's sold, and where it can be sold.
Are y'all finally going to raise the age to 21 to purchase vapes?
We have not. That is in our language, but it
Okay.
has not passed.
Okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's getting bottlenecked with the medical marijuana piece.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And here's one for Kelly. What's SB 450, the Novel Opioid Control Act of 2025?
So that opioid act is something that we file every session to update what we call the schedule. So on this one here, I added formaldehyde and a couple other chemicals that now, in order to criminalize a chemical, it has to be in that chemical compound
yes.
list. And that is that act. We call it the Opioid Act. And we continue to update with new chemicals that I think we put tinepatine in there.
I was
which
going to ask you about that. Yeah,
yeah,
because it's banned in North Carolina.
Re-
but
research
I was just
regularly
going to
does
ask
it.
you about that.
yeah, we put tinepatine in
Yes.
there. So we update that every session. We try to get
Thank
with our
God.
law enforcement because, creatively they come up with other compounds that make a product legal, and then you have to update that schedule to make it criminal.
And North Carolina is only one of 10 states that bans 10-eptene in,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it is
That's bad
what we
stuff.
call gas station heroin.
Yeah, it's
That's
really
it is
bad.
really, really bad. I had a client overdose on that actually.
Oh, I
It's
have
bad.
a question from
So we update it
I'm so glad y'all are
every
doing
session.
that.
we have a
Yes.
question from a listener.
Okay.
He said, I'd like for Senator Lazara to explain to me why nonprofit HOAs and POAs do not have to comply with the state statute. We have a situation in our property owners association. The board has gone completely crazy. Go figure. They do not comply with their own regulations. They own covenant north nor the state statute. We are a property valued by the county at almost 25 looks like $1 million. 442 sites and property owners they have no say whatsoever in what the board does.
I feel bad for whoever that listener is that they live in an HOA.
That's our friend
All right,
Frank.
so,
And
I would never.
what's your
live in
latest
one.
on HOAs?
We just passed a very comprehensive HOA reform on Wednesday.
Oh,
Um,
are you
that-
listening, Frank?
that made the crossover, and we know it'll move in the House, but it's a very comprehensive guardrail against is not the right word, but to protect consumers with HOAs.
Well, there was an issue not long ago. I remember that where
You know,
an
in terms of
HOA.
liens, like if you're late,
Right.
automatically put a lien and they can resell your
That's where I was
home.
going with that.
All that
Yes.
goes away once we pass this bill.
Oh, very good.
I love the one that I saw that there was an HOA with creating a lot of problems, the dictatorial operation that it was, and they employed their own self-appointed homemade badges security force and giving out fines and this and this and this. And so unbeknownst to them, the sheriff, a young lady, sheriff, not a deputy, moved into that neighborhood and started getting all these fines. Didn't like the car that she was driving, which happened to be an issued car. Didn't like this, didn't like that. Of course, it was unmarked. They didn't know that, but they kept writing all these tickets and stuff like that until finally they tried to arrest her.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, the HOAs have gotten
Oh,
very
crazy.
much out of control.
Yeah.
Obviously you need some form of cohesiveness, but just because someone is late on their dues, next thing you know, they're getting a lien,
Yes.
double the fees plus all the attorney fees, and I mean, they tell you where you can park, how you can park, street parking, off-street
What
parking,
vehicles you cannot have there.
You
You can't have this, you can't have
and
that.
exorbitant fees associated with it. And it's not a problem having regulatory requirements within a living center, but some of the tactics that they use across the state is really horrible. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
bill that we just passed it's probably one of the most sweeping, comprehensive legislation pieces that we've had. in a
Good.
while, as it
Great
relates to-
news for
as
those
it
that
relates
live.
to consumer protection.
Yes,
And
yes.
as it relates to ham radio guys, that you're a ham,
Yep.
and that
You both are
they're not
hams.
a lot of
They're not required. Yeah.
HOAs have
Antennas.
restrictions about antennas,
Mhm.
and they are like all over the place about you can't put up an antenna. That
Even a window antenna.
It started
It's crazy.
when they had TV antennas outside.
Oh, I'd
The
be fighting
HOAs
with
would
them
not
every
allow
day.
you to put a TV antenna outside.
That's right.
Whoa.
Well, Mike, you were talking about consumer protection, and I've not seen a recent bill. I know there was one the House did it way back in 2024. I think it was HB 13. But you were talking about consumer protection. Has there been any talk in the Senate, in the legislation, about maybe discussing putting a cap on charges for credit card charge and debit fees?
Yeah. So I'm,
Sure.
It's ridiculous.
I hate credit card fees.
Yes.
As a business owner, it really infuriates me for the business owners because, here's the thing. If you come into my business and you buy a slice of pizza and that slice of pizza on the menu is $2,
Right.
you pay cash, I take your $2 and I get $2 for that product. She elects to use her convenient credit card,
Right.
I get $1.80.
Yes.
That's just not right.
And a lot of businesses
that,
now,
yeah.
if you use a credit
And I
card,
know I
they're
have-
going to charge
I
you the
have
fee.
really good friends in the banking businesses, and we have to agree to disagree on this. I think it's a double dip on the consumer because the
It
consumer pays a
absolutely
fee.
is.
And then the business owner pays a fee for a convenience.
It's an enticement that the banks use to get you to do business with them in the first place.
Well,
We give you this
this is
debit
probably
card or
something-
credit card, whatever.
Our U.S. Congressmen and senators would probably have to address, but it's like, just for an example.
It's a federal issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have say you have a credit card bill and you have a fee, the payment is due. They used to give you like a 10-day grace, 5-day grace. Now, if this says it's due on the 1st and you pay at 5 minutes after midnight, they charge you like a $30 late
Mhm.
fee.
Not only a late fee, but you're typically paying in the 20% interest.
Exactly. Oh,
you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's a major double dip. Again, it's for a convenience that someone wants to utilize, but the business owner should not have to
I agree with you on that.
absorb that.
Right.
We have someone here who has an Onslow County question for you, for
Okay.
sure. I'm absolutely sure. Theo, good morning.
I hope
How
I
are you?
can- Let me get my helmet on and flak jacket.
Senator, welcome to Drama Country. How are you?
I'm doing great, Theo. Great to hear from you.
Okay, so you're running for a third term?
I'm in my third term now.
Are you running for a fourth term?
I
We
am.
hope so.
I am.
So no term limits, huh?
Term limits?
Yeah.
No, we do not have term limits.
Yes,
You
I
don't
do.
have term
I
limits?
decide when
But term limits are decided by the people.
All right, you said that before, but a lot of people
Answer.
want term limits for everybody to get some of the people out that have been there for the long time.
Now, if you're asking me if I will still be in the General Assembly when I'm 75, the answer will probably be no, I won't be there.
All right, so I want to ask you a question. Look to the right and look at that picture up there, that convicted felon up there. You see him?
I don't. I don't.
Okay. So hurricane season is just around the corner, and he wants to defund FEMA or do away with FEMA.
Well, I don't
How are we
think
gonna
that's
handle that?
accurate. Well, he doesn't want to defund FEMA. I think he's recognized that FEMA has not met the obligations that it was intended to meet. And we have lots of examples of that. I think what he wants, and I think Michael Watley talked about it on a recent interview, that not sure if FEMA will go away, but the restructuring of FEMA so that it's more responsive.
it has started yesterday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
more responsive to disaster recovery. For example, Western Carolina, it was months before FEMA showed up. And I don't care what name you put on it. You call it whatever you want to call it, but the response and the obligation that organization has to be 1,000% better than what it has been in the past.
When FEMA comes in and the place is pretty bad, and there's all kinds of furniture and buildings down and all that, how's FEMA going to come in there and help anybody? And then you have to fill out the forms and help anybody as early as you want them to come in.
Well, Theo, there's a lot of factual information that I can give you that would talk about the reason that we've got to restructure FEMA, and obviously would be too long for the show. But what I can tell you is that their response, not only in Western Carolina, but in Eastern Carolina and many other areas of our country, Florida, their response mechanisms are absolutely horrible. FEMA is not responsible to go in and start taking furniture out of someone's house. They're responsible for finding adequate housing for that person that's lost everything, and giving the resources that they need in the moment of need. Again, this is not, I don't even think I think it's a bipartisan issue. I think it's an agency that has to be fixed, and it doesn't matter if you're on the left or on the right. When someone loses everything that they have, they don't care where you sit. They just need help. And that is exactly why this agency, much like DMV, it is a nonpartisan issue. It is about doing what's right for the people that we serve that depend on us to respond to their needs when they need it, not when we think it's appropriate. So, FEMA is a nonpartisan fix that has to take place, and you can keep the name, you can change the name. It doesn't really matter to me. But at the end of the day, when we have a disaster, they need to be responsive to the people.
And they have not been.
I agree with you. That's what they're there for, to be responsive as quickly as possible. And we'll see what happens. Okay?
And here's another issue, Theo. Part of that is like the manner in which reimbursements are taking place. In Western Carolina, we've got, just on roads alone, we have a $5 billion deficit. The General Assembly has allocated almost $3 billion up front already.
The state.
I'm sorry, the state of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And, our budget, our complete budget is $33 billion. I mean, we can't wait 5 years for reimbursements on things that are 100% covered.
Right.
And so, again, this, to me, FEMA is a nonpartisan issue. I think it's an organization that's failing like DMV, and it's up to us as leaders, local and federal, to get it fixed.
Perfect.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you was that he's going to defund Head Start, which is in service for 60 years. It handles 800,000 kids. And the other one is Meals on Wheels. What are you going to do about that?
Well, first of all, I can't do anything about that. I'm at the state, not the federal government.
What do you think about it?
But here's what I can tell you. Whether it's state or whether it's federal, there's a lot of departmental waste in a lot of the different agencies. So I think they're going through a process of understanding the massive amounts of money that goes in a variety of different directions. And all they're trying to do is build efficiencies and maximize the people's tax dollars. Now, there's growing pains that are going to take place in the process. But again, that is beyond my skis. I don't know what those internal organizations look like. I don't know financially what they're looking at. Obviously, on the forefront, we know that a lot of this stuff is great stuff because we're taking care of people. But,
of course it is.
But we don't know what's actually happening behind the scenes in terms of how dollars are getting allocated, how those dollars are being soaked up, and what actually gets to the people that we serve.
Some duplicity out there too.
Of course, and there may be some top heavy. There may be some high level salaries that are being paid. There's so much.
But is that the way you would do it? You would defund them before you go and check out and tell us exactly what's going on and tell us where the waste is and give us proof and then take action, or you would just defund them right off the bat and hope for the best?
Well, I can tell you this, Theo. I can't speak for what they're doing at the federal government, but I know what I can tell you from what I can do at the state level. There are things that I haven't allocated funding for as it relates to DMV because it isn't the appropriate time to allocate that funding. One of government's pitfalls is that if you give them more money, they'll fix the problem. Well, that's not the way it works. Okay, more money does not fix problems. And many of the agencies always tell you, well, if we can just get more money, if we can just get more people, we can fix the problem. But oftentimes that is not the issue. And so as elected leaders that are responsible for people's money, sometimes we have to make hard decisions. So again, I can't speak to what's happening at the federal government, but we are hopeful that the president and his team is doing the right things for the people of this country and North Carolina to bring efficiency back to the government.
But between you and I, that's not how you do it. You don't just go cut jobs all over the place and hope for the best. That's not the way you do it. All right, there's a lot of dreams have been shaken up right now of people losing their jobs and everything that goes with it. But we'll leave that for another day. I just wanted your opinion on what you think of this stuff going on, because there's a lot of people. This is a welfare state. So he's also talking about cutting Medicaid, $800 billion on Medicaid. This state depends on all these programs, whether they have too many people or too much money, because you don't know. I don't know. But
So, Theo, as it relates
we
to
have a lot of
Medicaid,
people in this state that are going to need these programs.
yeah, we have no indication of any cuts coming to North Carolina, and we have met our obligation as it relates to Medicaid.
Okay, very good. We'll keep up and keep up the good work. Nice
Great.
to see you again.
Thank you, Theo.
Thank you, Theo.
Take care.
You know, talking about working, and my dad, you know, was a general contractor for years and years and years. He and his brothers had their own company. And he told me the story the one time about so-and-so. He got a little bit mad about it. The guy came to him one day and he said, you know, Mr. Brown, I could work harder for you. I could do a better job for you if you gave me more money. He fired him.
Wow.
My goodness.
Why? Because he wasn't working up to his full potential at the money that he was making. If he had asked for a raise and pointed out all the work that he was doing, he said he would have probably gotten the raise because he probably deserved it. But just telling me that I'm holding back is going to get you fired. And that was a simple process for him. And, you know, I understood that.
Well, again, a lot of the things that President Trump's doing with tariffs and all these changes obviously are unsettling to a lot of folks, but I call them growing pains. And in order to build efficiency, you have to upset the apple cart, but we can't have it both ways.
You know,
We either want efficiency
we're not
or
happy where we
or
are.
we want complacency. So that efficiency piece obviously is going to make some people not very happy.
Somebody's got to do something.
Exactly.
So finally,
So I
somebody
want to
is
thank you
anyway.
for having me
No,
on.
thank you,
today.
sir.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, 'cause
Got an invite for you first, 28th and 29th of June. Put it down on your books.
Got it.
And or you're welcome to come and
Field day.
Yep, you're welcome to come and operate. We're going to be out at the Skills Center.
Oh, ham radio.
I will do my best to be
I'll
there.
keep reminding you.
Yeah,
We'd
Y'all are
like
just
you to be there.
hands.
we are.
Not the Skills Center. Sorry, it's going to be at the Sheriff's Range.
We're kind of techie geeks, I guess.
There's nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
like doing stuff like that too.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So,
Yeah, you cleared up a lot of stuff for us because you know these new bills will pop up and we're like going, we've got to ask the senator about
Oh
it.
yeah.
So
And,
we kind of make
The real
it,
question you didn't ask is, will we have a budget?
well, that was going to be the final one. And
Yes,
first of
that
all,
was our
you are required to have a budget. Much
that was
unlike
Rayford's
the
question.
Yeah.
much unlike the federal government. So you're going to violate. Are you going to violate? Are you going to violate state law?
Let it be noted, the Senate did pass a budget.
Yes.
And it is now at the House. So now
One third of the way
we'll
through.
have to negotiate, but you know, at the very least, we'll have mini budgets. But we're very optimistic that we can get together. So,
Kelly, you still get your money.
Stop there in our tracks.
but thank you so much.
We know
for-
Thank you, Mike, and we do appreciate it, Senator,
For having me.
coming in and spending so much time.
And
with
as
us.
always, any questions, and I always try to end by saying to all our listeners, you know, my office is open 24/7.
Yes.
Please email, text, and you will get a response. If there's any way we can help you, whether it's local issues or federal issues, we have a great relationship with Congressman Murphy's office. We'll be glad to help you with anything that you may have, and that's what we're here for. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much for
And
coming
I
in.
got to go to one of your businesses, if not two, because I got to get some work done.
Yes.
I got, well, more than that one too. I got to get some more done that you don't know about yet.
No,
Okay.
I just have to go get pizza.
Right, the
I'm,
simple
so
things.
I'm going to go get you some money.
Thank you very much.
I just
Hope you all
want
have a
pizza.
great day.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Senator Mike Lazzara. Okay. Better do a little bit of weather, right?
Oh, wait, I
While we
haven't
still
got
have
it
some
up.
weather. You don't have the weather? What's the
Well,
matter with you? What's going on?
Did-
You
I-
just slacking off here? Huh? Anyway, I'll stall for you.
Stall for me.
you know,
I
the
didn't
weather-
anticipate having to do
the
it.
marine weather is, you know, like the weather outside. We didn't have any wind the last hour. It's now kind of breezy out there. It's gusting up a little bit, and It's going to be doing the same thing on the ocean for the next day and a half or 2 days. So kind of keep your eye on it before you go offshore. Before you even venture out there, take a look at the last minute, the latest information upon the current conditions and the forecast, whatever's going to be happening. Always do that before you venture into the ocean. All right. Otherwise, you'll get out there and get surprised and be a really unhappy camper. And if your wife happens to be with you, you go mess her hair. You're screwed, dude. Okay. Up and down marine conditions beginning today. High pressure will remain well offshore as a cold front approaches the area from the west. That front will track across the region overnight tonight. High pressure will build in from the north over the weekend. Low pressure system expected to impact our area early next week. Up and down we go again. Today offshore out to 20 nautical miles. Not too bad, at least in the morning hours. Southwesterly winds 5 to 10 knots, becoming southerly 10 to 15 this afternoon. Seas 3 to 4 feet, 10 seconds apart. Sounds and rivers a light chop, increasing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. The later in the day it goes, the choppier it's going to be and the less conducive to traveling through the inlet that it will be. Tomorrow, northeasterly winds 15 to 20. Gust to 25 knots. That's going to make it really sloppy. They'll come down in the afternoon, 10 to 15. 3 to 5 footers. If you could get out through the inlet and you're comfortable, make sure your boat's available and that you are qualified and experienced enough to do it. The seas real close to shore will be only 2 to 3 feet. They're probably going to be kind of close together, though, a little bit choppy, but you can do it. The Spanish mackerel are there. Sounds and rivers choppy, diminishing to a moderate chop in the afternoon. Sunday, easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Did I stall long enough?
You did.
Okay,
I
good.
wasn't able to rewrite it because this print is so little on the National Weather Service, and I usually
There's a
rewrite it.
possibility of
But I
some
can do it.
rain.
I can do it. Showers and thunderstorms are likely today. Partly sunny with a high near 83. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely. There's a 60% chance. Mostly cloudy with a low around 57. Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 75. Saturday night, a chance of showers. Low around 60. And Sunday, Mother's Day, a chance of showers. Mostly cloudy with a high near 73.
I'm going to remind you again here of some stuff next week on WITN.
This is Dave Jordan from WITN TV. I've been looking into the case of Kevin Smith. The Craven County man had 17 charges filed against him back in 2016 from both Craven and Onslow counties. Serious charges of rape and assaulting prostitutes. He spent nearly 6 years behind bars, but his case never went to trial. All of the felony charges dropped or dismissed. Now Smith and others are asking, how could something like this happen? We'll hear from him, a retired FBI special agent, and also what the district attorneys in Craven and Onslow County are saying, as well as the Craven County Sheriff's Office, coming up on Monday and Tuesday on WITN News at 6.
And you will recall we had Mr. Smith, Kevin Smith, in the studio here for a lengthy interview process. And
Yes.
then also, of course, John Legato, the special agent, or the retired special agent with the FBI, who friend of the family, and so he was looking into this thing during the entire case, and apparently there were some changes made after Kevin was released from jail, and I found out about from some photographs that I saw online. I started putting 2 and 2 together, so that's going to be interesting to hear what Dave's report shows after all of that went down.
It was an
It's a
exceptional.
strange case.
It was an exceptionally interesting story
Yes.
when our special agent friend came in and with Kevin Smith, and we devoted just about a whole morning
Pretty much.
to his story.
It's
And
worth it. He spent 6 years
I
in
have
jail
a
for no reason.
lot of questions, and I'm telling you, you listen to this on WITN Monday and Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Listen to it.
They've had
You're
the-
going to have a lot of questions.
They've had the opportunity. We're not a news organization. At times I just get back into that habit,
Right.
and I thought this was interesting enough, and I ran it by Dave Jordan up at IT, and he thought it was as well, and hooked him up, and they got hooked up, and things were interesting. I sat in and watched the entire raw interview,
Right.
the raw
'Cause
videos.
they did it right here in the
They did it
studio.
right here. Yep. So,
That's right.
you guys, and they spent quite some time doing it, and he's had to spend a lot of time going to get the rest of the interviews. He talked with other folks,
Right.
so we're going to find out exactly what went down. Maybe it's not what we were led to believe. I do not know. That's what Dave is here to find out for. Okay.
Yeah, exceptionally
And we
interesting
will
story.
have on Tuesday morning, we're going to have Special Agent, retired, John Legato in the
Yeah.
studio to talk about the first night's show and
Right.
get his opinion and have
Very
some
good.
discussion about that
Very
as well.
Tuesday. Very good.
Tuesday.
Very good. I can't wait for that. Oh, before we forget about it, we got to put a plug in for
For
the
the mailman. Yep.
tomorrow that's being sponsored by the United States Postal.
Box
Annual.
out there about that big
I've
at the
got to
front
get
door
mine out
waiting.
today, but that's tomorrow.
Yep.
Place a box or a bag at your mailbox, in your mailbox, on your mailbox,
You
or
can do it. The
wherever your mailbox
one
is
time a
at.
year, you can put some stuff in your mailbox that doesn't have a stamp on
That's
it.
right. You can
And
put a can of beans in
And just
there with
put
no
raise a
stamp.
flag.
Yes.
Do they still have flags on those things?
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
them know you got something that's leaving. I don't know what the weather's going to be. You've got shopping bags,
Yeah,
okay? You've got a
plastic bags,
trash
right.
bag. For God's sakes, take a 13-gallon trash bag and fill
I
it
will
up.
tell you, if you take a trash bag, if
Uh-oh.
you get one of those cards in your mail about the
Oh,
food
yeah,
drive, attach it to that
Yep.
bag, and it makes it easier.
They'll
But
know what it
most
is for
mailmen
sure.
will know if there was a bag sitting next to the mailbox.
They're not going to take your garbage away. They're going to
They'll
pick
know
your
it's
stuff
for
up.
the food drive. But
If you put your
anything,
garbage out there for him, he's going to bring it back to you in the middle of the night.
anything that's
Just kidding.
non-perishable,
He'll give it to me, and I'll take it to you.
check the expiration dates on your canned food.
So, we had Dylan Cullen here yesterday. This is his second year of running this operation here in
He's done a
Oslo.
fantastic
He's a
job.
fantastic guy. Go get her.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about the others in the past, but he has really
I
promoted
didn't know
it.
the others. I know him now.
Yes.
So I'm good.
Dylan's one of our favorites now.
Yeah, we're going to load our.
So
our
don't
boy up.
forget, put it out there before your mail comes. I
And-
would put it out in the morning because in some neighborhoods where
They
there's
get
a
early.
lot of supply,
Mhm.
they will send off-duty carriers or volunteers with
Yes.
United Way. They will come out and pick it up for the carrier.
Now, if you're out and about tomorrow and you decide I'm going to go buy some stuff and take two of them and don't just take it to the post office, either one of them that we have here in Jacksonville,
Right.
either facility, go around back.
Mm-hmm.
There will be people there to direct you and
Right.
drop it off there if you so desire. If you don't want to leave it on your front porch, you don't want to leave it in the
Mhm.
mailbox, or you're a little bit late getting the stuff together,
Right.
you can run it by. Bryn
And-
Mawr over here on Huff Drive, same thing. Just run it right around back.
Yeah, Bryn Mawr, you will definitely because they're not open at all on
No, they don't
Saturday.
open. And
So.
don't even bother going inside. You might get held up with the other people trying to mail stuff or go to
They
the
don't have
post
a
office
retail
boxes.
unit there. They have nothing but a
I'm
door
talking
and a
about on
doorbell.
the other place.
Oh, New Bridge Street.
Yeah, just take it around back.
Yeah, that's
your
easy. You
delivery
get to
point.
meet some of the people.
Yeah.
With United Way. You get to meet Raquel.
Uh-huh. Tell
Yeah.
Raquel we said, hey.
That's right. Tell me you heard it on the radio. But the biggest thing I wanted to also just put out there is all this food that is collected stays in Onslow
Yeah,
County.
that's the other big point.
It goes to our local
Yeah.
food banks here.
It's not going to be shipped overseas. It's
Yep.
not going to end up in Haiti. It's not going to end up in California. It's going to be right here in Jacksonville, Onslow County. Done. The
Sounds
acting
right.
administrator, speaking of the Federal Emergency Management Act, also known agency, rather known as
Oh,
FEMA, is
yes.
no longer with the agency. Just a day after telling lawmakers that cutting FEMA, as Trump has proposed, is a bad move.
It was a bad
Okay,
move
so-
on his part.
So you're the acting administrator for FEMA.
and you got up
You
and
think you're going to be the administrator, then you go
talk smack.
to the lawmakers and say, Trump's all wet. This is a stupid move.
Eh,
Goodbye.
you talk smack about the man that put you in there. Well,
Cameron Hamilton, who previously served as a hospital corpsman in the U.S. Navy with SEAL Team 8, has led
Right.
FEMA since January. He's a newbie.
mhm.
Well, he's gone. And for whatever reason, David Richardson is now serving as the senior official performing the duties of the FEMA administrator. That's a quote. Performing the duties of the FEMA administrator. Okay, is this a place because it's a transition operation? I suspect so. FEMA itself may disappear. It may be called DEMA when it's all over with. I don't know. It could be called ABC Incorporated or whatever. The services will end up, I'm sure, being enhanced. operationally speaking, FEMA sucks. Every time they've been involved, it may be months later. In the case of Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee, we heard, how many times did we hear about the big scandal, the FEMA inspectors who were going around? If you had a Trump for president sign in your yard, they didn't stop there to see you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
If this thing was not politically a mishap, and I'm being polite, I don't know what is. So anyway, Kristi Noem, the Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, have voiced support for eradicating FEMA. Hamilton said that would be a bad idea. So Hamilton, you're fired. Only thing I know about Richardson, a DHS spokesman, Department of Homeland Security, said he has been working as the Assistant Secretary for DHS's Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction Office. That's a pretty heavy-duty job. So maybe he would be the right person to stick over there and to FEMA to get that thing operating. So who's going to replace him there? How much does it pay? Would I get all the perks of a government worker? And can I live at home and work remotely? If he can, yeah, if I can do that, I'll take that job. Yeah, buddy, give me the money, honey. Anything a man can do, a woman can do better. The New York Police Department arrested 61 of those women after anti-Israel agitators stormed Columbia University's Butler Library Wednesday.
Well, there you go.
Students were studying for finals. 19 guys, males, were arrested. 61 women. At least 50 of those 80 protesters that were arrested were Columbia University students. Protesters renamed the Butler Library Basil Al-Irish Popular University, whatever. Students at the Ivy League institution said protesters climbed on a desk and chanted, "Free Palestine," and demanded that the university divest from Israel. I've got a better idea. Why don't y'all, if you want to protest, why don't you go to Palestine and support those folks there on the ground in their efforts to kill Israelis? Because that's what they want to do. That's what they've been doing. 6 people, including a county judge, have been indicted by a Texas grand jury on allegations of ballot harvesting.
Oh, my
All those
goodness.
involved were linked to Democratic campaigns, according to the New York Times. The investigation began with a request from Audrey Gossett Lewis, a Republican district attorney from the 81st Judicial District, which covers 2 counties. I don't know what the names of them are. Ballot harvesting, if you don't know, is the name given to a practice in which a third party secures absentee ballots. Texas law limits this practice and bans ballot harvesting using paid third parties to round up ballots. This is according to the Washington Post. The people of Texas deserve fair and honest elections, not backroom deals and political insiders rigging the system. Elected officials who think they can cheat to stay in power will be held accountable. No one is above the law. That's according to Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Got it.
Well, let's talk about a cheater. It is official now. The FBI has taken over the investigation of Letitia James' little shenanigans.
She's the Attorney General for the great state of New York
that went after Trump.
Who went after Trump and said she made it very obvious she was going to take him down to keep him from being elected.
Yeah. Well, questions were raised about her real estate and mortgage activities, which is what she went after Trump for and was going to take him down. But, the Department of Justice and the FBI in Albany, the field office there, started checking into it. But I can tell you now that the FBI has taken over.
You would suspect that, Letitia, you may have a problem.
Letitia, does the word comma appear in your dictionary?
Look in the mirror. It will say karma.
Karma.
For years, we've been asked to take old medicines, drugs that we, our parents, our grandparents no longer need, right? From vitamins to morphine. Yeah,
Correct.
It can be there.
Correct.
We drop those meds into special boxes at law enforcement agencies around the country, including those right here in Onslow County.
Uh-oh.
Ever wonder, like me, what happens to those drugs?
Yeah.
Do they end up back on the streets? Well, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEAs, was the folks in charge of the records in those cases. Last month was one of those times when cops made a big push to collect and dispose of the drugs. DEA yesterday reported that 620,000 pounds of unneeded and expired medications were collected and destroyed the proper way. The idea behind the drive is two parts. One, to help prevent drug misuse and abuse. Another, to stop us, the idiots that we are, from dumping those drugs down the drain or flushing them. Don't bury them in the backyard too, because critters will dig them up and die. They have a way of getting into precious fish spawning areas, even water supplies for many communities. This year's spring collection event marked DEA's 28th National Prescription Drug Take Back Day. In the last 16 years, that's when it started. In the 16 years it's been going on, the effort has helped Americans remove safely almost, how many would you guess? 20 million pounds of expired, unwanted, or unused medications from homes in this country. Now, this is not just 1 month that this is going on. They push it for it during this 1 month. JPD, I think the sheriff's office still has an operation. I know JPD does. You can go there. You don't have to do anything. Don't take liquids. It looks like a big mailbox is painted, I think, red in the lobby of the police department, right? Here in Jacksonville.
Yes.
It's a one-way thing. You can drop it in there. Just because I'm me and I don't trust everybody, I take the labels off,
Absolutely.
or I scratch them
Yes.
off, or I mark through them with a Sharpie, whatever, just because. If you want to dump all of those pills into a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag that you got, and put them in one bag and drive them to the PD or the sheriff's office and dispose of them accordingly, here you go. You can put plastic gloves on if you think they're going to do whatever. If you've got illegal drugs in there, for whatever reason you have found in your dearly departed's room,
Right.
some dope,
Right.
dispose of it accordingly too. Okay, please.
Don't flush them. down
Don't
your
flush
potty.
them. You're going to mess up everything.
Do not flush prescription drugs down the toilet.
No
Wastewater
drugs.
treatment plants are not equipped
That's right.
to remove all the pharmaceuticals, and flushing them could endanger the environment and public health. Remember
a
how
storm
they-
drains people,
Mhm.
but you think those you just walk out front of your house where there's that big old drain there? No, that's to go straight to the river.
Remember when we used to be told just flush them down the commode.
Do
You
not
don't
do
need
that.
any more.
Do not do that.
Environmental studies, which we probably spent $3 billion on
I'm
environmental
sure.
study. It says don't do it.
Law enforcement, they're not going to come out there
Right.
and try to fingerprint you and get your information. No, they're not going to do that. Just take them in and dump them. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to give a name. You don't have to do nothing. You can hire an Uber driver to do it for you if you're that concerned. Whatever you want to do. I wouldn't hire anybody to do it because I wouldn't trust anybody. You understand me, right?
Right.
But
I do.
if that's your thing, then that's your thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
just some thoughts that
A news story came out
Okay.
on a college here in North Carolina yesterday that really got me upset. I had
Uh-oh.
to start making some phone calls. But a student was sexually assaulted Wednesday on the campus at Appalachian State.
Uh-oh.
That assailant is still at large.
You know, that happens way too often on some college campuses. ECU used to
Yes.
be, that we were reading those reports about once a week.
Right, right. So
Not so much anymore.
I checked, and my granddaughter was already on her way home.
Good.
So she's safe.
And you're not going to let her leave again, right?
She's not leaving. She's done with college. Grandma's canceling all her classes. Her trip to Greece, done. Nope. Her trip next month to Virginia for a month.
You just
for
lost that
study.
granddaughter.
You just lost all that.
No, your granddaughter's divorcing you.
My granddaughter loves me.
No, not now.
She's my mini me.
It's over. Uh,
You know what? I cannot wait for this one case to come to court, and we've talked about it a little bit on here. Is the Kentucky sheriff that shot the judge in his chambers?
More stuff keeps coming out about that
More
stuff.
stuff keeps coming out
What's
now.
going on over
There's
there?
been accusations made against one of the deputies. Allegedly, he raped a female, and that the sheriff was somewhat involved in it, and he's being sued also. So there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out here on this. This is going to be interesting. I will definitely be watching this one when it goes to court.
Mhm.
But the deputy that was charged pled guilty to all charges in his case and was sentenced to 7 years in prison.
That's all.
So now they are claiming that the sheriff knew about it. The sheriff
kept
was
him on as a deputy?
responsible. Yes, kept him on.
Oh.
And they've taken out a huge civil suit against him. But if you've not seen it, I'm going to tell you, I saw the video where he was in the judge's chamber and they were talking, and he got up as if to walk out, then turned around and shot the judge several times. The judge hit the floor. You can see the judge coming back up, looking at him like, "What are you doing?" And he shot him again.
That's not a good thing.
No. The sheriff is trying to claim undue stress.
Well, we all have that, but we don't take a gun and go shoot people, especially judges.
Yeah, and it was so weird because as soon as he shot him, he walked out of the
Nonchalantly
office
just left.
nonchalantly and went outside, and people were running out of the building because of shots being fired. So he just jumps back in, and here comes police officers and deputies to the scene with blue lights, trying to make sense of everything. And he jumped right in there like he was helping to investigate it.
Well, yeah, he was. He knew who done it. He knew who did it.
it.
The only man living who knew for a fact who did it.
Yeah, he was only indicted on one charge, and that was murder. The grand jury did a one sentence indictment charge.
What else? What did he
Murder.
charge with?
I don't know. He's claiming insanity, so
No, it's
I
too
don't
late
know
for that.
what's- The judge made me do it.
Did he know right from wrong? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's the only thing insanity will
I'm
deal
right
with.
there with you.
I told you at the beginning of the show some stuff that happened on this date back in 1942, World War II stuff, and then of
remember.
course about
PT boat something. Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Uh,
it was a lot of information, but it was very
PT boat.
something about a boat. I remember it was a very educational story. It was a lot. So I
You
can't
didn't get
remember.
anything out of it, did you?
No, I did get a lot out of it.
I got one more thing to talk to you
Okay.
about then. Maybe you will remember this
All right.
because it probably applies to you.
Oh my god.
The rest of the stuff didn't apply to you.
If it's about insanity.
1960 on this date.
I was very, 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 very young.
The Food and Drug Administration, they approved the world's first commercially produced. What did they approve?
I could not even venture to guess.
Commonly known as the pill. The first commercially produced birth control pill was approved on this date in 1960. Made by GD Searle Company out of Chicago.
And pretty much.
You know what the first pill was called? The brand name on it?
No.
ENOVID 10, Enovid 10, Enovid-10. Development of the pill, as it became properly known, was initially commissioned by birth control pioneer Margaret Sanger and funded by heiress Catherine McCormick Sanger, who opened the first birth control clinic in the United States in 1916. Hoped to encourage the development of a more practical and effective alternative to contraceptives that were in use at the time. What were the contraceptives in use in 1916? Not much. In the early 1950s, Gregory Pincus, a biochemist at the Worcester Foundation for Experimental Biology, and John Rock, a gynecologist at Harvard Medical School, began work on a birth control pill. Clinical tests of the pill, which use synthetic progesterone and estrogen to repress ovulation in women, were initiated in 1954. On May 9th, 1960, the FDA approved the pill, granting greater reproductive freedom to American women.
I can't tell you all the things they have now. I just, from listening to people talk about it, but I know that there's like, you can go in and get a shot now that'll last for 6 months, or you can get small little
aspirin.
implants. Rayford, we're not going to get into the aspirin story.
I didn't say anything.
I know what you're saying.
I didn't say a word.
I think I can tell you that the pills do not work if you don't take them like you're supposed to. Thus, my daughter. But I'm so glad that I have her. She was a surprise, like, oops. But I would not
I didn't
trade
expect that one coming.
No, it happened. And I was like, wait a minute. And you know, it's back then when you had birth control pills, you had to take them every day.
There's an interesting story about that. You know, a lot of volunteer fire departments
Yes.
at noon on Saturdays, or noon every day, they would test their sirens.
Yes, I know that. They used to do it here. Do they still do it here?
They got everything out. But they would test the siren. All the sirens were set off at noon on every day of the week. One fire department said, no, we're not going to do that. Things working fine. There was such an uproar from the community, they had to start it again. Why?
Why?
Because that was the reminder that women were saying for me to take the pill. That was my reminder that I need to go take the pill. Was the fire department siren going off? Is a good. Wonder what they did when the siren went off when there was actual fire.
Well,
They took a lot of extra pills.
That's funny because that was during the time that they did set that fire alarm off on Saturday to test it.
Well, they used to do it every day.
Yeah, I mean here, yes, and it still didn't help me to remember to take my pill.
Well, one day a week doesn't work.
Oh my gosh. I got some great news from the county, Onslow
Okay,
County
good.
government.
Yeah.
The Onslow County Board of Commissioners voted to support our volunteer fire departments,
Well,
which we're talking
boy, that's a
about,
controversial topic, though.
with the highest level of funding that has ever been provided to them in
They
2025.
quadrupled it.
The volunteer fire departments will receive over $8 million compared to just over $2 million in 2017.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to
Wow.
slam Fox News, CNN, whoever the V is on. I want to slam all these people. They've all been replaying an interview with former President Biden,
And
and
his
then
wife,
with Jill jumping in,
Uh-huh.
and where they were asking him to defend himself, and which he tried to do, about the allegations of his cognitive issues. And all it did was prove, and he was on friendly turf, but everything that went down proved exactly what everybody said. And then Joe Biden said, yes, he's as sharp as ever. Well, if he's as sharp as ever now, then we were in a problem from the beginning. But that, for them to actually bring him out there and do that, The View, irresponsible of them. The man can't help what's happened to him. He can't do it. There's no control
That's right.
over anybody in that situation. You're done. You can't just be gracious. And I'm sure he didn't do this on his own to go out there. He was coerced to do it by somebody who wanted to make something newsworthy.
Because they're trying to use him as a person to look up to help raise money for the Democratic Party for the next election.
To buffer
Yes.
everything that Trump is doing.
And
And it's backfiring.
I watched bits and pieces. I didn't watch it while it was on The View because
I
I
didn't either,
cannot
but
stand
I
that
saw
show.
some clips yesterday.
Some clips where
I don't know. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for Fox for even carrying it. CNN for even going back and running clips of it. And of course, CNN does one thing, support
Right.
it. Fox does the other thing and says, look at what he is, make fun of him. Look. No, Stop it.
Well, you know,
All of y'all,
he's
just
got his.
quit.
Well, he once again deer in the headlights, and Jill had to step in, which
It
did not
doesn't-
help his cause.
It did not, but just let it go.
Well, there was also the one statement that he made about Vice President Kamala loss, and he
Well-
blamed it on sexism. He blamed it on the fact that the
And racism.
Republicans
He did it on
push a
racism.
sexist route.
You know, it does not matter. He can say that she did it because that she lost because we, the people in this country who voted against her, didn't like her toenail colors.
It was her cackling.
It does not. They could say anything they want, but it does not matter. We do not need to be putting this man out there as a spectacle. It's
I
like
agree.
It's like the folks that were put on display, the poor individuals who were displayed at zoos, at not zoos, but at
You know,
strange people. No, you don't make fun of people like that.
Ronald Reagan, even in his last year, he started having
He
issues, and
They hit him.
yeah.
They kept him out of the
But the
public.
thing, but not to the extent that Biden has had him. But
It doesn't matter. Leave the man alone.
this is what I like to say: former President Biden, just go home, enjoy your time with your family.
It's not telling him.
What you
It's
have
telling the
left.
other people that keep dragging him in to do
It's
this,
ridiculous.
to use him and abuse him.
Well, I think the View got egg on their face. by
Well,
having them
they
on
should
there.
be slapped. Every
No,
one
they
of them
should be
just
taken off of TV.
You know what kind of
Can't
be slapped
stand it.
I'm talking about, right? Right down
Yeah,
the
I
line.
know.
Every one of them.
Yeah, I know.
All of the above. And I volunteer to do it.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Y'all got
It
bail
does.
money? I will need some bail money.
Anyway, food drive tomorrow. Don't forget.
Food drive
that.
tomorrow.
What
Don't
else?
forget, put your stuff out there on the on your steps or underneath, close to your mailbox, so
Right.
they'll know what it is. If you have to put some stuff in the mailbox, it's okay.
Yeah.
Hang the bag on your mailbox if it's
Yep.
out beside the road. Protect it from the weather, especially if there's like boxes of cereal and stuff in there.
Right.
You can take a garbage bag, a trash bag. It's
Right.
simple. Tie it up tight and then tie it in a knot. You're
Take
good
a
to go.
marker and write USPS on it. Whatever
That-
you do,
whatever you
they'll
do.
know. They'll
Okay.
know.
Have a great weekend, y'all.
Yeah.
We had to rant at the very end, but I had to.
It's been a long week and
Thanks
a
to
great
Senator
week.
Lazara.
Oh,
My
wasn't
goodness
it
gracious.
fascinating? He spent all that time with us and
He's
explained all that we've been ranting about
and,
for
and,
weeks.
and thanks Theo for calling in because you've got some great questions. You got some great thoughts there, and that's what we like.
Yes. And yes.
Where are the
I do.
rest of you?
I know, really.
You're all invited. Everybody's invited, encouraged to call us and talk with us. And some if y'all want to come in, come on in.
Yeah,
Come
this
on down.
coming Tuesday, we have our U.S. Congressman that will be calling in.
Yep, that's 7:30,
Yes.
and we also have retired special agent.
Coming into the studio,
Yeah,
yes.
we'll have him in here for
And
a
we
while. talk
also
about this case.
have a wonderful lady that used to work with Onslow County. She's in Carteret County now.
Sherry Slater.
Sherry Slater, that's going to be coming in to tell us about a program in Carteret County. So that's going to be very, very interesting. So,
It should be fun.
yes.
Okay. We will see. It's going to be a busy week next week. I don't know what's on Monday.
Sherry is Monday.
Sherry's Monday. That's right. Sherry's Monday. That's
We've
it.
got to change the
Yeah,
calendar
I'm
here.
looking up there. It's not updated.
You're looking at the old one.
We will see you Monday morning. Weather probably will be on the mend. We're going to have some up and down. Be careful if you're
Right.
planning to be outside. If you got anything outside, and especially if it involves boating, check the current and the forecast before you go. And even if you get out there, there is absolutely nothing wrong with aborting whatever your plans are and coming back to safe haven. Do it before you get into a situation that's going to could result in a tragedy. Okay.
And one thing that we want to mention that is the most important thing taking place this weekend is Sunday. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mama's Day. Yes, absolutely. It's very important for those with you
Right.
with moms, grandmoms, daughters,
Absolutely.
wives. Okay. Wives, remember them. I don't care how you remember them. They may not want gifts, but just Make sure there's something special.
Do something special for your mama.
Okay. We'll see you Monday morning, 7 o'clock. Have a great weekend. You're live and local, Real Talk, where we, right here on YouTube and Facebook, are always awake
And never woke.
and we'll never wake up. We'll see you Monday. Bye.